The day of reckoning is coming. The day of reckoning is coming, my friends. The day of reckoning. Do you know what that means? The day of reckoning. It means a time in the future when people will have to face the consequences of their bad decisions. Okay, it's a time. It could be a day in the future, or it could just be a time. Okay, so the word day is a little bit flexible here. Okay, the day of reckoning is a time in the future when people will have to face the consequences of their mistakes that they've made today. You make a mistake today, sometime you're going to have to face the day of reckoning. Okay, now let's imagine this guy here breaks into your house and steals all your stuff, your nice stuff that you enjoy, right? You enjoy your stuff, right? Let's say he takes it, he steals it, and he goes home. He puts it in a sack, and he just goes home, and he eats some pizza, and watches some Netflix, and just enjoys his life, right? What's the problem? There is no problem, not for him, but there's a problem for you because he stole your stuff. So what's going to happen? Well, we don't know, right? What if the police don't catch him? Well, if he tries to break into someone else's house and steal their stuff, and if he keeps doing this, he's going to have to face the day of reckoning. The day of reckoning will come when the police catch him. But what if he lives his whole life and he just dies peacefully with your stuff? Well, then there is no day of reckoning, right? He just got your stuff and it's gone forever. Well, that's why it is very often this is a religious word. Now, it's not always. You can use this in a religious way or not a religious way, right? But sometimes people use it in a religious way because, in the situation where the burglar stole all your stuff and died peacefully, we can't accept that, right? There has to be a day of reckoning where he pays the consequences, right? He pays for your stuff. He gives it back to you, or something happens to him. He can't just die peacefully. That's not right. It's not just, right? So this word is very often used to mean judgment day. Okay, the day of reckoning, right? So a day of reckoning is coming. Even if someone dies peacefully, having done a whole bunch of bad things in their life, their day of reckoning will come, right? That's what people say, right? That's why they it's like, the afterlife, right? The day of reckoning will come in the next life. It didn't happen in this life, but it will come in the next life, right? Now, very often people use this word to talk about money and the financial world, because our financial system is built on this idea of get now, pay later, right? You don't have to pay for everything right away. For example, my house, right? I bought this house a couple years ago. I'm enjoying it. I like this house. This is my house. But really, I didn't pay for this house. I borrowed the money from the bank. Let me just move my microphone a little bit closer so you can hear my beautiful voice. So the bank gave me money and I bought this house and I'm living in this house and I'm paying the bank back every month, right? Slowly. So I got something, but I didn't pay all the money for it. Right now, what would happen if I just stopped paying? If I just said, no, I'm not going to pay the bank back. This is my house. I just I'm gonna live. I'm gonna live. What would happen? Well, nothing would happen right away, right? I would still be making these videos for you guys. You're welcome. And I would go to bed and I would wake up and I would eat breakfast and I'd just go about my day. And nothing would happen for quite a long time, probably. But ultimately, there would be a day of reckoning where the banker would come to my door and say, "Give me my money." Right? I can't just think this house is mine. It's actually the banker's house. The bank owns most of my house. That's the truth. I say this is my house, but actually, it's not my house. I own a little piece of this house, right? It's actually the bank's house because the bank paid for it. I'm just paying back the bank, right? So this kind of system is how our society is built. It's the same with like a restaurant. If you go to a restaurant and you sit down, you open the menu, you order some fish and chips, right? They bring you nice big piece of battered fish and a whole bunch of chips. Chips is the British way to say French fries. Okay, here in Canada, the dish is still called fish and chips, even though we don't call French fries chips here. We say French fries. So, you eat your food, and then at the end of the meal, they bring you the bill or the check, right? And then you pay the money, and then that's your reckoning. That's your day of reckoning. You've made it right? You've settled accounts. Okay, that's what it means to settle accounts, right? There's a transfer of money to make things even. Because when you got the fish and the chips, right, you got something good. They didn't get anything yet. So there's a time window there where they didn't have anything. It's the same with my house and the bank, right? There's a window of time where the bank owns most of the house, but ultimately, after I pay off my house, then I will own 100% of my house, right? So, imagine what were to happen if you ate your nice juicy piece of fish and your chips, and then you just left the restaurant. What would happen to you? Well, I don't know, but your day of reckoning would come. Something you have to face the consequences of your decision. You stole food from the restaurant. You're gonna have to pay for it. And that's why a lot of restaurants have the opposite system where you have to pay first and then you get your food, right? So like McDonald's, for example, KFC, any fast food restaurants, you pay first and then you get your food. So in that situation, you actually lost your money before they gave you anything. So what if they don't give you anything? Well, then you paid for nothing. Then their day of reckoning will come. What if they say, "Oh, you didn't actually pay us money," and they call the police, and the police come to the restaurant, and the workers at McDonald's say, "No, this guy did not give us money for the hamburger," and you say, "I did give them money." So who's going to win in that situation? Well, what if you just lose your money? This is just injustice, right? And your blood is boiling, right? In those situations, your blood starts to boil. That means you get really angry because there's been an injustice committed against you. So it's not balanced, right? So the day of reckoning will come. Either in this life or the next life, something's got to balance out, right? So, the reason I talking about the financial situation is because I think our economy, I think our financial world here in the West, Canada, US, Europe, I think we are going to face a day of reckoning, and I think our economy is going to enter a stage of stagflation. Have you ever heard that term before? Stagflation. Stagflation is a combination of stagnation and inflation. Okay, so this is just a kind of a made up word. It's a combination of two words, stagnation and inflation. Stagnation means something is not moving. Okay, like the word stagnant, right? If we talk about water as stagnant, that means the water is not moving, and that's not a good word. Like if we talk about a stagnant pond, sometimes there's like a pond, just a small piece of water. It's not moving. There's no water coming in and going out. Like usually with a lake, right? I mean, a lake usually has a river flowing into the lake and then maybe another river flowing out of the lake. So the water is kind of moving. But if the water is not moving, like in a pond, it kind of just gets stagnant, and it might smell bad, or it's not a good word to use. And so when we talk about the economy, if the economy is stagnant, that means the economy is not going anywhere, right? It's a good thing if the economy grows. Then everybody's happy, everybody's excited, it's good times. Well, what if the economy is just kind of stagnant and it's not really doing anything? Well, that's not a good thing, right? So that's what stagnation means. Now, inflation means when the value of your money is going down, right? Like the things are getting more expensive. And so that means you need more money to buy the same amount of something. So the value of your money is going down. So you need more dollars to buy the same, whatever you want to buy, the same hamburger. Maybe last year a hamburger was $1. Maybe this year a hamburger is $2, something like that, right? So that's inflation. So what stagflation means is that there's high inflation and a bad economy. And that's not good. That's not a good combination. That's a kind of a combination where something has to happen. The day of reckoning needs to happen. Like if inflation is getting high, if everything is getting more expensive, let's say, and you're making more money with your job, well, then there's no problem really. You don't really feel the pain of that, right? I mean, let's say you're making this much money and a hamburger is this much money. Well, if the hamburger goes up to this much money and you also get paid like this much money, well, then there's no problem, right? Who cares if the hamburger is $5 or $10? You're making enough money to match that. But imagine a situation where inflation is going up, but the economy is stagnant, or maybe people are losing their jobs. Maybe you're not getting a raise. Something is, not matching, right? So this is a bad situation. This is called stagflation. Okay, so I think we're entering into a period of stagflation. And it's kind of an interesting time. A lot of people don't really know how to invest their money these days. Because if you just keep your cash, let's say you take all your money and you just have it in cash, well, that's not good, because that means you're losing money because the value of your dollars is going down, right? And so nobody wants that. And especially when inflation is like 6, 7, 8, or 10%. That's a high. That means if you keep your money at the end of the year, you've actually lost 10% of your money. That's huge. So people don't want to just keep cash, but you don't want to invest in like stocks, or you don't want to kind of, invest your money into the economy, because the economy itself is bad. And what if like you buy some shares of a company and suddenly, that company starts doing really bad and starts laying off their employees and all of that? Well, then that means the company is going down and you're going to lose your money there. So nobody really knows what's going to happen in the economy right now. It's kind of an interesting time. So I think a day of reckoning is coming when there will be a major financial crisis much worse than what we had in 2008, 2009. Remember that time when President Obama had just come into office, and then there was this news, all the economy's going bad, what are we going to do, what should happen, and they were bailing out all the banks. These big companies in the US were like crashing, and it's like it was just a huge crisis. Well, I think a crisis is coming. This word reckoning isn't supposed to be capital. I don't know why I made this mistake. Okay, a day of reckoning, just make that a lowercase r. So a day of reckoning is coming when there will be a major financial crisis. That's my opinion. What do you think? Do you think there will be a day of reckoning where we've been living this life of luxury here? Most people in the West, even if they've had like just a normal job, they've been able to afford a pretty decent quality of life. You can maybe rent an apartment somewhere, you can buy enough food to eat, you can pay for your car, maybe you can even save a little bit of money or spend some money on going to a movie or something like that, right? Well, a lot of people around the world work really hard, like 10 hours a day, and they make like $1 or $2, $3 a day. So why should someone in Canada work hard and make enough money to have a great life, but someone over in another country works hard and they don't have enough money for a good life? Why is that? Why is there this kind of inequality? Well, one of the reasons for that is the US dollar. The US dollar is the world's currency, and when the US dollar collapses, in my opinion, everything is going to collapse. Right, everything is gonna, and that's why inflation is so dangerous, because if people can see that a country's money is getting like lower in value by like, let's say 10% per year, that's a huge amount. Nobody's gonna want to touch that currency, right? I mean, why would you want to hold, let's say, US dollars if the US dollar is decreasing by like a huge amount every year? You'd say, I don't want US dollars. Whereas this is it's a dangerous thing when inflation is high. It's really dangerous for a whole civilization. And that's when interesting things happen. Nobody knows exactly how it's going to play out. But, I think a day of reckoning is coming where people have been living with like this quality of life, but really, they're going to need to pay back something. They can't just keep it going forever. The situation isn't sustainable. There's going to be a day of reckoning. So let me know, what are you going to do to prepare for the day of reckoning? Are you going to batten down the hatches? That's my next lesson, guys. So stick around for the next video where I teach you the idiom, batten down the hatches. So hopefully you guys are having a great day. I really enjoy making these videos for you guys. Thank you always for smashing like, for leaving nice comments, and thank you for all your support. I really appreciate it. So as always, I love you guys so much. Have a great day wherever you are, and I'll see you over in the next episode of Mad English TV. Take care.